Okay, so here's something wild. Have you ever spent 45 minutes scrolling through Netflix categories, looking for the perfect movie to watch, and then you just don't watch anything? You get tired, you close the laptop, and you go to sleep feeling weirdly defeated. Or maybe you're standing in the supermarket aisle, staring at 40 different brands of olive oil, and suddenly you feel this actual wave of nausea. Believe me, it's not just indecision. It's a 200-year-old philosophical crisis called vertigo. In 2026, we're constantly told that having more choices means more freedom. But why does it feel like such a trap? Why does the scroll of regret on Steam or Spotify leave us feeling paralyzed instead of liberated? Here's the thing, we've been lied to about what freedom actually is. We think freedom is keeping every single door open, but philosophy tells us that staying in the hallway is the fastest way to never actually live. This dizziness you feel when you have to pick a career path, a partner, or even just a lunch order, it's what happens when your brain realizes that choosing one thing means killing 1,000 other versions of yourself. It's the fear that by saying yes to this path, you are permanently deleting the version of you that took the other one. We think this is a 21st century digital headache, but in 1844, a lonely Danish philosopher named Søren Kierkegaard already felt this exact dizziness. Seriously, he felt it in a world of quill pens and horse carriages, and he has the map to get us out of the hallway. Søren Kierkegaard was basically the world's original overthinker. He used the word angst not as some clinical disorder, but to describe the physical sensation of a tightening throat when you realize how much power you actually have. He called it the dizziness of freedom. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a massive cliff. You look down into the abyss, you feel a surge of fear, right? But Kierkegaard says the fear isn't just that you might fall. The real terror comes from the realization that you could jump. It's the realization that you are the one holding the map, and you have the absolute terrifying power to throw yourself into any direction. Now, fast forward to 2026. Instead of a cliff, we have AI-driven optimization tools. We have apps that tell us the statistically perfect career path or the most data-optimized way to spend our weekend. But instead of making us feel safe, these tools actually increase our vertigo. Why? Because they show us exactly what we're missing. They turn every life choice into a statistical calculation where good is no longer enough, only perfect will do. We're staring at the select your character screen of our own lives, researching metastats instead of actually playing the game. Kierkegaard would look at our smartphones and say, yeah, that's not a tool, that's an abyss generator. We are so obsessed with making the correct choice that we forget that the act of choosing is what actually makes us human. The dizziness is a sign that you're alive, but if you don't find a way to ground yourself, you'll spend your whole life staring at the edge without ever taking a step. A century after Kierkegaard, Jean-Paul Sartre took this idea and turned it up to 11. He famously said, "Man is condemned to be free." Think about that word, condemned. It's like being sentenced to life without a manual. You weren't born with a destiny pre-installed. You are a blank canvas, and the pressure to paint a masterpiece is why you spend 3 hours staring at a blank screen instead of just drawing a single line. This is what I call the hallway metaphor. We like the hallway because as long as we stay there, every door is still open. We can be a coder, a chef, a traveler, an artist all at once in our heads. But here's the mind-blowing part. As long as you stay in the hallway, you're effectively nothing. You're just a ghost of potential. You only become real when you walk through a door and hear the lock click behind you. Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once? That movie is the perfect modern bridge to Sartre. The protagonist, Evelyn, sees infinite versions of herself. The version where she's a movie star, a chef, a kung fu master. It drives her into a nihilistic despair because she feels like her real life is the worst possible version. This is the multiverse despair of 2026. We look at social media and see the optimized versions of our friends, and we feel like our choice to stay in a boring town is a failure. Sartre would tell you that trying to avoid choice by pretending you don't have one, what he calls bad faith, is the ultimate lie. You are the sum of your actions, not your potential. The open doors aren't your friends, they're the ghosts haunting your actual life. So how do we stop the spinning? How do we actually live in a world that refuses to stop offering us more? We have to learn the art of the door slam. It's about radical commitment. Look, I'm not talking about some trust the process cliche. I'm talking about a tactical strike on your own indecision. First, Use the 70% rule in high-stakes decision-making. The pros know that if you wait until you have 100% of the information, you've already lost. Commit when you have 70%. Realize that the perfect choice is a ghost designed to keep you from living a real one. Next, protect your choice capital. We only have a limited amount of decision-making energy every day. This is why I love No Option Tuesday. Pick one day a week where you automate every trivial choice. Wear the same clothes, eat the same lunch, follow the same route. Seriously, don't waste your soul deciding which brand of sparkling water to buy. Save that energy for the vital stuff, the choices that actually define who you are. In 2026, the most rebellious thing you can do is to delete the options. We think limiting ourselves is a prison, but it's actually the ultimate act of self-creation. When you slam a door on a potential version of yourself, you're not losing anything. You're finally giving the version that remains enough room to breathe. You're moving from the polymath fallacy, the idea that you have to be everything, to the reality of actually being someone. It's about choosing your own limits before the world chooses them for you. Kierkegaard's final solution to the vertigo wasn't a better algorithm or more data. It was the leap of faith. He argued that at some point, logic runs out. You can calculate the stats, you can weigh the pros and cons, but eventually, you just have to jump. This leap is what turns possibility into actuality. It's the moment you stop being a tourist in your own life. Think about a heavy oak door. When you walk through it and turn the key, that click of the lock isn't the sound of a prison closing. It's the sound of a home being built. Commitment is the only thing that turns a flickering could-be into a solid is. Your potential is a beautiful, shimmering ghost, but your life is what happens when you kill that ghost by making a choice. In a world that wants to keep you scrolling forever, the most radical act of freedom is to pick one room, walk inside, and lock the door. That's where the real work starts. That's where the real depth happens. Depth doesn't exist in the hallway, it only exists in the rooms we choose to stay in. So here's my challenge for you. What's one door you've been keeping cracked open just in case? What's one choice you're avoiding because you're afraid of killing the other options? Pick it, lock it, and start living. Because freedom isn't found in having every option available. It's found in the courage to choose one and let the rest go. Stop living in the hallway. The room is waiting for you. This is the Philosophy Explorer, reminding you that the dizziness is just the start of the journey. See you in the next room.